Hello and welcome to the Creative Amplifiers show. My name is Mark.
I'm Lisa.
And I'm Neil.
And thank you so much for joining us. Really great to be back with you. We've got a fun-filled show full of our usual quizzes, our merch on the perch, sharing some socials in some love with our showcaster. I'm not even going to say that. It's been a long day. Start as you mean to go on, Mark. I don't know.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Our creator showcase. There we are. I knew it was there somewhere, just on not anywhere near the tip of my tongue. But anyway, thanks very much. Anyway, hi Gretchen. Thank you so much for being here. And we have Eden in the Zoom room ready to come on and give us loads of insights about Camo and everything that she's doing at Reincubate. So looking forward to chatting to her very shortly. But first of all, my big question of the day is, are we packed for Creator Camp? And what are we packing for Creator Camp? Lisa, go.
I'm starting to gather everything up, like, clothing, the tools. What am I bringing? I need a checklist. I need a checklist.
We know somebody that can help us with that, Lisa. Yes, I think we've definitely got enough clothes, right? Just judging by the amount of stuff from CCTV, and my Creator Camp t-shirt arrived today finally, and whoa, is it green? I didn't realize how green it was. I took it out there, it's like, well, there's a green screen right here. So we've got our green screens. If we put them all together collectively, we could actually have a little green screen set up as well. Yeah. What else are you bringing to Creator Camp then, Lisa? Have you got some gear that you want to bring?
Yeah, I'm bringing some gear, some microphones, because we're getting together ahead of Creator Camp. We're gonna have a little fun before, so just some tiny things that you can shoot, some fun stuff. Watching Mark cook, watching Neil cook while I sit and watch.
Yeah, I think that the one thing we haven't planned yet is exactly how that's going to go, and I think the three of us have got slightly different versions of how that is. So we'll give you the information about that, because that's going to be a fun live show that we're going to be doing just before camp. As Lisa said, I think there probably will be cooking. I think there will be a bit of fun. There'll be obviously just a chill out kind of party atmosphere. I think we know that Lisa's the one with the very successful cooking channel. How's your cooking channel going, Neil? Is it up and running yet?
Yeah, I've got Uber Eats on speed dial. So that's my cooking channel ready, and we're going to be using that as well, obviously, when we get to Creator Camp, because obviously in Boston, if Lisa doesn't want to watch us cook, then she'll have it Uber Eats ready to go.
Exactly. Either that, or
so is that a
very short show.
Review channel you're doing?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Restaurant reviews.
I just order everything in from all the restaurants, and just that's a great idea, actually. Yeah, maybe somebody's. Yeah, thank you.
I think somebody's probably.
Yeah, probably.
We've got it. It's a new channel now.
We've got it. So yeah, a few microphones, a few cameras. We've got a few ideas of what we want to do, and also how that might sort of meld into what we're able to do at camp as well. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. We've got all this sort of planning ahead of ourselves. I think as you mentioned, we've got enough t-shirts to probably take us into November or December. So the next thing I need to buy is just a Christmas related one. Everything else is just CCTV or Ecamm or something that's just going to take us through the winter. So yeah, fantastic stuff. So I do probably need an extra case, maybe, just for the extra luggage and the extra cables. I'm going to bring an extra long cable for the Ethernet, maybe, was it about 5,000 miles, just in case I need to keep it plugged in one end.
just plug it at one end to yours, just bring it with you. Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, pack that.
Yeah. Try and avoid the Wi-Fi if we possibly can, but we'll see. We've got a very nice we've got a nice place that we've got a plan for to be able to share with you, and yeah, it should be a good fun and just a nice, easy, relaxed way into camp for us to hang out, because we hang out a lot online, but we don't get to hang out that often in person. Just I've been to Portugal to meet Neil. Lisa came over and we all hung out in Lisbon, which was fantastic. But apart from that, it was just this time last year. And the other thing is amazing is just that sense of, we didn't know anything about any of this time last year when we were about to get on a plane to go, which is just amazing to think we've done all these shows, we've put all this stuff together, and we, spend the time that we do. I just find it's mind-blowing.
Yeah, it is. It's great. And I've thoroughly enjoyed it. And here's to the next 4, 5, 10 seasons. Keep this going forever.
Here we go.
Maybe.
Exactly.
Let's see.
The train moving.
Exactly. The green team. We will see you there. Exactly, Gretchen. We've won already because we're just winners already. So yes. Fantastic. Okay, Eden, are you ready? Come and show us everything and tell us everything that you need to do ready for Camo and everything that you want to share with us. We're excited to hear about all the latest developments as well. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Eden.
Hi, thank you guys so much for having me. I'm excited to be on the show. I love being backstage and just listening to you guys banter, getting pre-FOMO for Creator Camp. So yeah, it's looking like you guys are going to have a lot of fun, and I'm very jealous that I'm not going to be there.
Oh, it's a shame. What, just work commitments or just general diary clashes? What? Why are you going to miss us this year?
It didn't work out with the work schedule this year, and then I was going to try to sneak up there on my own for maybe just like the Friday, but life and stress, and I had to choose a little bit of balance for when it's falling on the calendar, because as you mentioned, I do work at Camo, and we have some fun stuff cooking up that we are going to be in full form, ready to share some really exciting stuff at that time. So I'm very sad to be missing out. So I will be following along with all the stories and all the updates, and I just, my heart is so sad that I'm not going to be there.
You'll be missed.
Yeah, indeed.
Definitely.
Indeed. And also Creator Camp TV is going to be streaming 2 or 3 times a day throughout there. So if you do have a spare few minutes when we happen to be streaming, then feel free to drop in, give us a comment. If you need to come in and just say hi quickly, then we'd love to do that, because we know there are a few people who are going to not be able to be there in person, but we want you to still feel part of the fam if you possibly can.
Yeah, of course. Definitely we'll be having those live streams on in the background or in the foreground, just depending on the schedule whenever you guys decide to go live.
Fantastic.
We'll let you know, definitely. So first off, you've just come back from TwitchCon, right? And that was in San Diego. So could you mind just telling us all about that? Why did you go to TwitchCon, and what's it all about? Because we've never been, so we'd just like to know a little bit about it, and who did you meet there, and were there some sort of creators and other live gamers and streamers that you met up with?
Yeah, sure. So TwitchCon was in San Diego. It was such an creatively inspiring event to attend. So I did go last year. We worked with Elgato, and we were at their booth last year. So last year I was in a booth the whole time and did not really get to fully experience walking around the entire event and really taking it in. And this year I did. And it really opened my eyes up to all the different types of art that is being created and live streamed with technology. And I think it's fascinating, and it's very, very cool that we get to sort of experience this intersection point of like art and technology. I don't know about you guys, but my algorithm, because I tend to create educational content, whether it's product videos for Camo or talking about content creation, it's all sort of in that same lane. And so like my algorithm becomes more of that lane because I'm seeing what other people in this similar space are doing and how they're presenting as a way to like get inspiration for my own shows. But that also creates sort of like a homogenous timeline. And like I would say my number one takeaway from being at TwitchCon was just really getting out of that bubble and realizing like there are all these different very, very unique types of content that are being created and live streamed, and people are engaging with it. And I just think that that's super inspiring, especially as someone creatively. If you guys have seen me on any of my appearances on the Ecamm network or anywhere within our friends network, I use a lot of sports analogies. I grew up being like an athlete, and so my whole thing is very repetition, perfect your craft, review the tape, and like continue to do so until you get better and better at it. And that mindset is great for perfecting a craft, but it also gives me tunnel vision sometimes. And so breaking out of that tunnel vision was super cool. Did y'all know that clowning is a thing still in 2024? And I don't mean like making fun of your best friend's outfit or something. It's like an art form, like it's like a sub form of like stand-up comedy that is like alive and kicking. And I just had like no idea. I met someone that does clowning content, and I was just like, that's so cool. And she was like, yeah, it's not really like the red nose and like the electrocuting when you shake someone's hand. It's evolved a little bit past that, especially with technology these days. But I just had no idea that it was something that was alive and kicking and being live streamed. Like, you know, like maybe hearing about it being something that exists in stand-up comedy clubs, that makes sense. But the fact that I found about it because it was being live streamed, and TwitchCon was an event that brought a bunch of live streamers together, I just think is like magic. It's just like so cool, because clowning is never going to show up on my algorithm. I can just put it that way.
I do think you bring up an excellent point, though, because I think we're all in the same boat. We're all sort of working towards the same content that we're creating. We all have our own different spin on how we create the content, whether it be gear, whether it be software, whatever it might be, workflows and things. But until, I guess, you get to these places like TwitchCon and see what other people are actually doing with live streaming, because live streaming is huge. We know it's massive. We know it's exponentially growing year on year in terms of what people want to put out there, because they're finding their voice. They're able to do it live now, and they're able to use all wonderful types of software, which we'll get onto later, to be able to do it. And you can do it from anywhere. And the connectivity with the world now is so much easier with 5G. You can just stream anywhere you want. And to me, I admittedly thought that TwitchCon was it's just going to be people who are gamers, streaming, the hardcore gamer, and that's it. It's going to be a bunch of gamers sat together talking about, you know, what type of software they use, games they play. I had no idea that TwitchCon has got so diverse and so many different people who are just streaming anything that they love, right? And I think, do you think since the pandemic that's become more and more prevalent, that people have just decided to be able to do things more in front of their computer and live stream and reach different audiences, and maybe the way that we've all been locked down during the pandemic has helped sort of drive more different diverse content out there?
100%. So another one of my takeaways from TwitchCon, which was not one that I was seeking out or expecting at all, was talking to creators that like had gotten popular in sort of like one form of content creation. It was TwitchCon. So for example, I was talking to a streamer. He's this like first person shooter streamer. And he like very recently had started to pivot to also doing like voiceover content for like dark fantasy books that he enjoys reading. And I just thought it was like such an interesting, like, that it's fascinating that people, even if they feel like they are meant to be doing one thing and they're very good at it and they get good at it, that they are still also thinking about what other content they could be creating. So using myself, for example, I found this like very inspiring to see creators really like diversifying their content, not just like where they are putting their what platforms they're putting their content on, but also their content in and of its own. Because I'm someone that like, I do the content, camo content, but Doc is always like, where is your own channel? What are you creating for yourself? And I'm always like, that's a great question, Doc. I don't know. Stop yelling at me. It's Doc's tough love. You guys know that. But so seeing creators be good at one type of content creation, be actively expanding their reach through following like their own content that they love and that they want to create, was like, made me feel less locked down in feeling like just because I start creating content in one subject or category, it doesn't mean I can't also branch out and create other stuff. And I do think a lot of it is because of consumer behavior massively changing during the pandemic. I know not just my consumer behavior, but like my personality changed during the pandemic. Like I used to be someone that constantly craved a lot of interaction and needing to go to a social event or even 3 in a week. And now I'm like, I find 1.5 social events a week to be exhausting. And so it's, if we think about how, you know, how we ourselves changed during the pandemic, like it all is a snowball effect into how we consume things. And part of the reason why I would rather sometimes stay home than go out and expend my social energy is because there is all of this great content that I'm able to consume in the comfort of my own home, in bed. Like I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to get dressed up to like get mentally like stimulated and to find things interesting. So I don't know, maybe it was a coping mechanism on my part also, but it's, you know, it's a balance that I found. And I wonder if you guys feel like you guys went through that sort of evolution as well.
I think definitely the pandemic has changed everybody. I mean, I'm quite a homeboy anyway. I like being at home, so not wanting to go out all the time and socialize. So for me, when from my friends and people that we knew were saying, "Oh, this is a struggle. I have to be in all the time." I'm like, this is great. I don't mind being in. So for some people, I think it was an easier transition to actually stay at home and be at home and consume the content. You know what it's like on Netflix and Tiger King and all these big shows and people were just consuming everything. And the streaming world, whether it be Netflix or on-demand video, was just the escape that people needed. People needed something to be able to connect again together, and whether that be using the internet to get on FaceTime and connect with people. I think it brought a lot of families together though, because in some respects, because you couldn't go out and see people, you had to force yourself maybe to get connected in other ways. But to your point around there's so much content out there now, why bother having to go out all the time and get stimulated socially by being in a physical place? I'm tending to find I'm migrating more to finding the content on YouTube more appealing for me. Either I want to learn something, I want to diversify, or just see my friends and colleagues live, and join in that instead of maybe going to Netflix or HBO. Or I don't think I've watched anything on terrestrial television for like 5 years. Everything's now streaming, right? So it's either streaming using Netflix and something like that. So I think it is interesting where people don't need to pigeonhole themselves, that they can diverse as well. That why don't have to be stuck in just doing those types of videos. You could split off and do other things. And I think the technology and the platforms are making it very easy now for people to just say, I'm interested in this. I'm going to share it with people online, because there's always an audience for some people, right? It doesn't matter what you do, what you share, or what your subject matter is, you will find your audience. And I think it's just taking that first leap in just saying, I'm actually going to try this. What's the worst that can possibly happen? Nobody watches.
Yeah. And can I just
Right?
add on a tiny point to that? Is that actually,
Sure.
I just saw my friend Tortacular pop into the YouTube chat, and it's interesting that I sit here and talk about diversifying content, but in some way I have done it myself. So I got my start in content creation doing sports podcasting, sports and lifestyle podcasting. And a lot of the audience and community that I built there I'm so grateful for them, because they have actually popped into like my Camo live streams where I'm talking about, where I'm hosting office hours or I'm talking about content creation. And I think that's sort of the magic of doing content online, where you are building a relationship with your audience. And live streaming is one of the best ways to sort of create that two-way connection, because it's instantaneous. It's not like, you have comments and reviews, but those are asynchronous. And when it's live streaming, it is immediate. And I really think it is so cool that people who followed me for my basketball takes also now follow me and like tune in to me doing my tech stuff, even though I have no idea why. And it comes down to, I think, the personal connection that I was able to build with the people in my community. And I think that's one of the most underrated feelings, as we were talking about some of the social stuff and how the pandemic changed us, is like we feel like we are getting to hang out with people that we enjoy hanging out with on a live stream, even if we don't get to hang out with them in person. I'm not saying it replaces the interaction, because I am all for going outside and leaving the house. I think there needs to be a healthy balance, but I do also think that it is encouraging for especially people that were more homebodies or don't actually enjoy leaving the house that much to still be able to have like a social outlet. Like I think that's one of the coolest things that I've like gotten to see and experience with like my own eyes or my own feelings. I've just gotten to experience on my own, which I think is just one of the things that is like so magical about live streaming and building a like connected community.
Great. Lisa.
Yeah. Oh, I was just going to say, I was going to ask you about your origin with starting with the basketball Twitter and how you even got there to get started, and just how things have changed for you as a content creator from that starting point till now.
Sure. So I actually have a very unconventional path to becoming a content creator. I never thought of myself as one before. I have most of my professional experience in event operations, processes, and hiring people and training people for events. And I got into the basketball content because basketball Twitter was a vibe. Let me tell you, like Twitter has, we all know what's happened to that platform, but I would say in the mid 2010s to like late 2010s, basketball Twitter was like a very important place to be if you like watched basketball at all. And it just became like sort of like this online community of its own. And I was just shooting out basketball takes and occasionally tweeting about the podcast that I listened to, sort of like, oh, this was said on this podcast. Here's my take on that same sort of thing, as just sort of like a way to really work out my own basketball thoughts. I'm very obsessed with basketball. It's like my favorite form of entertainment in the world. And I got into basketball podcasting because I was tweeting about a basketball podcast, and the producer one day just reached out to me and was like, hey, do you want to like hop on a call? And I was like, why? Why do you want to talk to me? I had no idea. And he was just like, no, like you just have like all these insights about the show, and I would just like love to have a conversation with you and like, you know, hear more thoughts about the show that you have about the show. And then that conversation turned into, do you want to come on the show? And I was like, I mean, I have no bona fides for talking about basketball in a remotely educational way or entertaining way. I'm literally just some basketball obsessed human that's existing on basketball Twitter like everyone else. But it got me started in podcasting. It got me onto the show. I was terrified because before going on my first podcast appearance, I had no experience with podcasting other than listening to it. So I when I tell you, like, my heart rate was, I don't even know, like my Apple Watch was probably telling me that my heart rate was like in an alarming range for what it usually is, because I still remember how nervous I was that first time I went on mic, and that was audio only. That wasn't even on video. And it is sort of funny to think about that first appearance and how nervous I was and how far I've come. And I like sharing my story because people love to think that everyone doing content now must have so-and-so training. They must have some qualification to be in a position where they are comfortably talking to people online. But like, that's simply not the case. Like, just know your content, know your stuff, and learn how to present it. That's really all you need in 2024.
That kind of circles back to what you were talking about before with your friends. You don't know what opportunities are going to come up and pop up. And, you know, you just said you were doing one thing and all of a sudden you get this phone call. So just putting yourself out there, you just don't know. Yeah.
I think what was fascinating about that as well is that you said, you know, you were nervous and you didn't quite know what to expect. So how did that then sort of translate into suddenly being in a position where you're doing live streams? What challenges were there? Suddenly it's not about the conversation necessarily, it's about you actually sharing stuff and interacting with people in the chat, which you do so brilliantly now. But I know you've got a lot of reps under your belt there. But how is that to begin with, and sort of what are those sort of resources that you sort of learned early on did help you?
It was terrifying also. I remember the first live stream I ever hosted for Camo. I think I was 3 months into the job, and we had this product update that we wanted to do a live stream for. And I did. But was I terrified? Yes. And let me tell you, and I know this sounds so cliche, but the best way to prepare is to, in my head, what I did was I mapped out every scenario possible I did a sort of the conversation tree when you're like pretending to have a conversation with someone, like, you know, when you're growing up, it's like, oh, I'm going to approach my crush. And if they respond A, then I'm going to go with this. And then if they respond B, I'm going to go with this line of thinking and this line of conversation. I basically did that with all of the questions on my rundown for the show. I basically just mapped out everything that I thought could possibly come up in a conversation that I was driving. And luckily I had the podcast experience to feel confident that I could drive a conversation, even though I wasn't doing it regularly for work. So I will also give you a little bit of insight into the podcast I was doing. I was never on a podcast with less than 5 other people at the same time. we averaged about 5 to 7 people per show, and we had no official rundown. It was sometimes just a very loose set of topics that we may or may not even stick to. And learning to navigate timing with that many people talking over each other, trying to do a show with no visuals, no visual cues at all. This was purely audio. I will say that that gave me all the confidence I needed in the world to be able to drive a conversation, because anything less than 7 people, I'm like, I got this, because my training was being thrown into the pool with 7 people at once and being like, you need to learn how to swim or you're not going to continue onto this show. Granted, that's not how it was presented to me, but that's how I thought of it. It was survival. And my role at Camo, to me, honestly, it felt like survival for me at the time, because I was brand new in tech. I've been at the job for over 3 years now. I still consider myself a bit of a neophyte, but it was my first tech job, and I feel like I had everything to prove. And the only way I was able to get through it was with a lot of prep and a lot of practice. I did so many tests leading up to that first live stream. And, there's obviously only so much tests you can do on your own when there's a lot of moving parts to be considered for live streaming. But I hate to say this, but like, the obvious advice I have for people kind of is to overthink it. It's to overthink every situation and be prepared for it. And that's how you get better at not overthinking in the future, if that made any sense.
I think so. And I think also for me, I completely get that, because as a musician, it's kind of, I always say to myself, and certainly when I'm teaching as well, it's that kind of, when you think you've got it, then you do it another 100 times, because then when you're literally facing whatever's going to come to you, your body just does what it does. And whether that's switching, whether it's talking, whatever it happens to be, that's kind of what you need to be able to do. And I think,
100%.
like you say, there's maybe no school of this now. We're all kind of learning on the job. We're all learning from each other, but just that practical experience, but that understanding that it's not all thrown together, even if we sort of try and sort of make it look that way, to just in terms of having fun.
You mentioned about obviously Reincubate, which is the company you work for now, and you started as a customer support person, right? Originally at Reincubate. How did you go from being in customer support to now being the face of Camo? Because every time we look at Camo and we look at what's coming out with the software, you are now the face of Camo. So how did that happen?
That's me. So funny enough, I actually still run the customer support team. That is actually what I got hired for. I thank them every single day for being an amazing team that I really barely have to manage, because as you guys know, I am all over our website and our Camo YouTube channel. And I would say though, like, if you are in a support position, I think that it is actually sort of a natural pivot if you are looking to get into content, to think about, because as a support person, you are most aware of what pain points consumers have with the product. And that puts you in a really good position to be able to create content that is useful for the audience of that product. So because I run the customer success team, even though I don't do a lot of tickets on my own, I know all the issues that are coming in. I know all of the problems that people have where they find this settings and not intuitive. I didn't even know you guys had a record button. All of this feedback I get from my team and from being hands-on with the support stuff myself puts me in a really good position to create content that I know will resonate with our audience, because these are questions that I see come my way. Like Doc always says, the audience is the algorithm. It's that same sort of psychology and mentality. So I think if you are someone in a support role and you are thinking about getting into content, that it's like a really good way to sort of pitch the value that you already have within the company, to be like, hey, I have this expertise about the product because of my role in support. What do you think about me maybe taking that a step further and creating a video out of it for something that can be used for, whether it's just training purposes to start with, or if it ends up on the YouTube channel for said product, because it's 2024. And if you are any sort of consumer type product and you don't have a YouTube channel, what are you even doing? So I think there is sort of like a natural progression from support to doing content there.
Excellent. Well, that makes a lot of sense, particularly from a technical perspective. And we're going to talk a little bit later about Camo and some of the products and things, and especially for people who are not that familiar with the product. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. But thank you for that.
Yeah, and I was just curious from a content creation process, as I know you're not doing your individual things, but the difference between that and then doing something that's a little more corporate or for a company, and the tools you choose to use, the overlap that may come in with that. Obviously, Camo and Ecamm. So I just, what are you recommending for those people that might be dipping their toe in both worlds?
So especially for people that are just starting out, I definitely recommend starting with tools that you find easy to understand, because everyone has a different level. We've all gotten feedback from, using Ecamm, for example, how people can find all the settings to be a little bit overwhelming when you first install it. The same goes for Camo. People are saying, wow, there's a lot going on. I don't know if this is for me. And I love to actually say, so remember when I said I first did my first live stream 3 months into the job, I used StreamYard for it, because StreamYard was a tool that I could understand and I could digest, having only been in the space for 3 months. That was what I felt confident in learning and presenting on. And it was like very easy for me to pick up and start to do content. And I had Camo, so I was using my awesome phone as my webcam, phone camera as my webcam, using Camo. And then I used Camo in StreamYard to host that first live stream, because they have they had the interview features that were really, really easy to digest for people that were just starting out. And so I love to give the advice to, just because everyone else is using OBS or Ecamm does not mean you need to jump in right away into the deep end. Like, you can swim towards the deep end, but like OBS has a zillion settings. Sometimes when I'm working in OBS, I'm still not sure that I have my settings dialed in correctly. And that's after hours of watching tutorials and making sure I have my settings dialed in correctly. Luckily Ecamm makes it way easier, and that I don't have to use OBS as much. But I do think that there are levels of tools, and it is okay to take it one step at a time. Like, I love telling people about Camo, not because I work there and I want to continue to have a job, but because you're not going to get great video from a webcam, but you can actually get great video from your phone camera. And just before someone's ready to dive in to a DSLR or mirrorless setup, which is thousands of dollars, as we all know, that's not really realistic for a lot of people that are just dipping their toes into the water and, trying to figure out if it's even a lane for them. We've all been in the content space long enough to know, it's not, your message and how you deliver it is so much more important than whether you are using the latest Sony camera or if you are using, let's not use a built-in webcam camera, but we know the messaging and storytelling is just as important as the tech is, even more important than the tech is. But I think if you don't have a messaging and a way to tell your story, it doesn't matter how good the tech is, your channel's still not going to reach people if you're not able to deliver your message and your story in a way that makes sense. So I just think it's about taking baby steps, learning one step at a time, and getting 1% less worse with each appearance, whether that is on the delivery or learning one more technical thing that you didn't know last time.
Yeah, just reducing the overwhelm and building on that with, your message. So great advice.
Yeah, and for people who were still not wanting to step over that barrier of kind of, I think I've got my message. I think I've maybe got, like you say, the simplest version of the tech, but I know there are loads of other creators out there doing amazing things and they've been doing it for a long time. So what advice would you sort of give to those people who they're so close to starting their own channel, they're so close to start creating, but they're not quite sure whether they should? What advice would you give to them?
So my advice to them is just do it. You don't have to publish it if you're not confident about it. You can leave them unlisted. You can share with only close friends and family. you can not ever show them to anyone else. You can just review the tape yourself. You can review and you can be your own audience until you are ready to share it with others. But you have to get the reps in. You are never going to get better at presenting a point if you don't present the point. I did not get good at navigating conversations with multiple people on a panel because I didn't do it. I did it a bunch, even when I didn't want to, but that's how I got good at it. And I feel like it's so cliche to say, just do it. Nike has it trademarked and everything, but it's true. You just have to get in the reps. You just have to watch the tape back. You have to do it. There's no other way to do it than to do it. And like I said, I want to reiterate, you don't have to publish it at first if you're not confident. And even if you do, a brand new channel, you're not going to get that many views. You don't have to be that worried. This is not like you are broadcasting to every single human on the face of this earth and you're going to get 6 billion pieces of feedback. No, that's not the case. There is a little bit of safety behind being unknown. Like, you can kind of just feel things out until you get more comfortable with promoting it. I really would feel very, very sad for anyone that feels like they have a message that they so badly want to convey, and the only thing stopping them is just literally stepping their foot over that start line.
Yeah, that definitely makes a makes a lot of sense. And I know, Neil, you wanted to sort of take us into this world of camo and the technical side of maybe how that can help people.
Yeah, I was going to say that I think once people have got over the initial fear of actually pressing that go live button, and we've all started right with our live streams where we're streaming to nobody, and it is a little bit disheartening to start with, because you may have these messages, but if you, as you said, you keep going and so on and practice, then your audience will come. But to start leveling up where people would maybe begin just using the standard webcam on their laptop, heaven forbid, we want to get a little bit of elevated interaction with people. We want to make yourself look a little bit better on camera. And as you said, it is a stretch to start then putting thousands of dollars down on a mirrorless camera and getting everything connected and plugged in. And as you said, maybe people just want to, first of all, find their audience and then just take incremental steps at making themselves look a little bit better on camera. And this is where Camo comes in, right? So for people who may not have heard of Camo before, maybe you could just let people know a little bit about what Camo is and how it could just make them look a whole lot better just simply by using their iPhone or whatever phone that they have available to them.
Yeah, sure. So Camo actually works with any camera you can connect to your computer. So I kind of sometimes like referring to it as like universal camera software, but really the magic is unlocking that amazing smartphone camera that Apple, Google, Samsung put billions of dollars in R&D into, so we can have these amazing cameras in our pockets, in our phones at any given time of day. Why not use that for content creation? Like, Camo unlocks that ability, and there has not been a single person that I have done a Camo walkthrough for where maybe they were using their webcam or maybe they were using their built-in webcam. Camo can help you get better video with those as well, but as soon as they try the camera on their phone, they are always blown away by the quality and how good it is. And because Camo also has features such as background blur, you can get this nice like bokeh effect. So I'm using a mirrorless camera right now, so it's a real bokeh, but if I was using a phone camera, you could still get this background blur, and it's adjustable. So Camo has features that are all very, very like fine-tuned, adjustable with sliders, so you can get your video looking exactly how you want. We have like white balance, brightness, contrast controls, so you can get color dialed in perfectly. We have framing controls so that you can like crop out stuff in your background. And we also have auto tracking. So if you are someone that moves a lot, Camo can follow your face as well. So that's like really the short version. And I will also share one of our most popular features is our built-in overlay editor, which is like, so we have a lot of people using Camo for that do a bunch of Zoom calls or virtual video conferencing calls as part of their job. And Camo allows you to like really quickly, easily add like text or branding colors or a logo to make like a lower third that can really help you stand out on a Zoom call with like 20 other people. That's probably like one of the features we get the most feedback about. That along with the ease of use and how quickly and easy it is to set up. And that is our Camo Studio for Desktop product.
Yeah, and I was going to say, what's interesting is that you don't have to use your phone. As you said, you can sort of level up your video with anything that's available on your system. And so with the desktop app, you can use your webcam, and then the Camo app is available for Android as well as Apple, and in terms of the app that's available to you. And one of my pet hates is going on a Zoom call and seeing these people with the fake Zoom blurry background, and they've got this beautiful halo shimmering effect behind them, and it just looks terrible. And I've seen how Camo works, and it's just amazing at sort of making you look so much better without that artifacting, just from a simple iPhone camera or something like that. But it's really good. One of the things I was just going to ask before Lisa's going to ask one more question from a technical perspective is Camo's obviously Reincubate has now moved into having a standalone streaming platform available for your iPad. And, I've been testing that out and playing with it, and it's been iterating and getting better and better. This was a game changer when it came out, because people were asking, well, from a portability perspective, we don't all have laptops. We want to maybe stream on our phone, but you've got a small footprint and it's not technically very easy. But now when you came out with Camo Studio for iPad, that sort of changed the game in terms of what people can use, and you can connect any camera to it and so on. So maybe could you just talk a little bit about that? And is there anything that you could share with some of the recent developments or things that may be coming down the pipe that will get us all more excited for using the software?
Yeah, so thank you, first of all, for having tried out our Camo Studio for iPad. It is a basically streaming studio for the iPad. And as Neil said, it was designed specifically for people on the go or that just wanted to sort of simplify down their streaming setup a little bit. And it's really cool because we recently, a couple of months recently, within recent months, released an update that also allowed you to wirelessly pair phones. So whether that's iPhone or Android, you can use those wirelessly paired to your iPad as your camera sources. And we really wanted to create a product that was for streaming on the go. There's really not many other competitors out there that have all the features that we have. And I just think that it's really nice. So I have my setup in my office. Sometimes I have the iPad set up in my bedroom when I'm doing my lazy game streams, because I don't want to do the full setup. I don't want to feel like I'm at work. So it's nice to just be able to hook up the iPad with like one camera view and like throw in my game with the capture card and just sort of do sort of like more laid back streaming that way. So even if you do have a setup, you can test out Camo Studio for iPad, maybe just in another room, help you compartmentalize your content a little bit. So
and just one thing on that, just so everybody knows, it's free.
Yes, it's totally free, 100% free. There's no features that are gated by Pro. It's funny, we've gotten a bunch of feedback that are like, can we pay for Pro features? And we're like, we don't have Pro features for you to pay for yet, but we love to hear that you're excited by it. So if you do any streaming and you have an iPad, I would love for you to check out Camo Studio for iPad and just play around with it, because as Neil said, we are also looking to continue to grow that product and make it even more user friendly with more streaming features. And we listen and read all of the feedback. So whether that is comments on our YouTube channel, App Store reviews on iOS, Google Play, Mac, Windows Store, all of the above, all the platforms, we read every piece of feedback. We probably read it a little more than we should, constantly telling my CEO Aiden to stop looking at the feedback because he doesn't need to. That's the CS team's job. But my team does look at all of it, and we log all of the feature requests, and it helps us drive the roadmap and which features to implement next. So it's like if we get a lot of feature requests asking for multi-streaming, then that's what we start to work towards. And I will say that's one of my favorite parts about representing Camo as software, is that understanding how the full team operates. Like I can't honestly say I have insight into other tech companies, but like how many times have we written out like app store reviews just hoping that someone would even consider the feature requests that we have, thought of that would make the user experience so much better for us. And we read all of it. So that makes me feel like we're doing something right in being a tech company that actually does read all of the reviews and all of the feedback. We can't implement it all at once. We wish it was that simple. It is not. That is something I've also learned, is that software is just not that simple. But we do try, and it's sort of like these personal value alignments that I think we can seek in life sometimes that aren't always there. And I guess I'm grateful that in my position, especially as I do technically lead the customer support team, that I can honestly say, like, we read all of the feedback and we take all of it into consideration. I can't make promises that it's going to make it into the product anytime soon, but like I can promise you, like, we read it and we logged it, and my team's the one that does that. So yeah.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, that's so exciting with the new product, and that you guys take the time to just, see what we need out here. Just all of your information, your experience, and given all the new AI that's coming out, where do you see live streaming and content creation heading with all these too many shiny balls, I should say, to choose from?
I love that question also because, 2024 is the year of the AI PC. I don't know if you guys have heard that there's all these AI tools that are popping up left, right, and center. This is the world we live in now. I think actually when it specifically comes to live streaming, that it's a little bit, it may be the video content form that is the least affected by AI. And what I mean by that is maybe we used AI to help us come up with the show rundown, but at the end of the day, AI is not going to replace your ability to respond to comments in real time. AI is not going to be able to, pivot your show when your guest says something completely unexpected. Like, that's on you, and that's on you as the host and the producer to control. And while all of our repurposed content might become more and more homogenous as AI tools pop up that all sort of use very similar algorithms for finding the best clips, quote unquote, from your long form content. I think that live stream in a sense is the most raw form of content creation, in that it's so direct. It's such a direct connection that you are building with the audience. There's no edits, there's, if you slip up on a line, you say 5,000 times, you say like 5,000 times, that's me. It's adding to your character, and it's becoming part of who you are. AI can't remove that for you in real time yet. So let's enjoy this time period where we can still be our organic selves and say and like a little bit more, because who knows how long it's gonna last.
Still be human.
We might crave hearing and like in 40 years. We might be like, it's been so long since I've heard someone say I would just love to hear someone say and stumble over their words a little bit.
I'm sure they're going to notice it for me in that meantime. I'm not sure AI is ever going to get that good to be able to do it that quickly for some of the things that they come up. Oh, amazing. We've got a few people that just wanted to say hi and just part of your fan base, I think, as well. And I think that goes into the ability that you have just to kind of, like I say, the friendships, the community. I think that personal driven thing, and you sort of mentioned the AI idea, that's the thing that we as content creators need to really sort of focus on, is the fact that we want to hang out together with ourselves. Like I say, the tools can really help and things will change, but it's us, the personalities and the humans connection, which is the most important thing. And yeah, we have, amazing software, as people are saying, and I think people who've used it and people who understand it, and like I say, that ability just to get that first step as you go in is really amazing. So thank you for joining us everywhere. Gretchen thinks that Eden can herd cats. Well, I think so, while doing a live stream and probably doing anything else that needs to be happening at the same time as well. So yeah, fantastic. Amazing stuff. Eden, thank you so much indeed. It's been fantastic listening to you. It's been fantastic finding out more, and we love the sort of the backstory as well. And I think it's such a unique position that I don't know many people who have that kind of, I'm the face of something, but I'm also part of a company, but still having your personality coming through, and, you know, like I say, a whole load of people who are running a company who are happy to do that and supporting you to do that, and like I say, creating your job and growing within that job. It's such an exciting and a creative thing, and I think for content creators to feel that that's possible out there, I think is an amazing thing. So yeah, thank you so much indeed for sharing all of that, and really do appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you. Thank you guys for having me. And I really do like to share my origin story because I really want people to learn from some of the mistakes that I made when I was first getting started. The imposter syndrome I felt when I first got asked to come on a basketball podcast, having zero experience in doing any type of content at all. This was like my dream to cover basketball, and like the biggest mistake that I made then that I'm never going to be able to go back and change, that I hope someone learns from my experience, is like, your voice is like totally valid, even if you feel like it's not. Like, it's totally valid. No one has the same experiences that you have. No one has your entire hero's journey into who you are today, and that makes your individual voice valid in whatever you're talking about, because no one is going to have that exact same perspective as you. So just
Love
please
it.
keep that in mind if that's
True
something
words.
that you are scared of. We all feel it. We all feel it. I still make the joke that I don't know what I do here at my job, and that I'm just faking it until someone tells me I'm way off track. Then I, great, let's get back on track. But so far it seems to be working. So if I can do it, everyone else can too.
Amazing stuff. Thank you
Wise
so
words
much indeed.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
And for anyone who doesn't know Eden that personally, and you want to find her out on the social world and everything you need to do, there's all the places that you can find out about her, and Camo and Reincubate and everything. So yeah, Eden, thank you so much indeed. I really do appreciate your time and everything. Really do. Yeah, love that story. And like I say, it's all about our individual voices, which I think from our point of view is probably a good thing. Neil, we had a question from Gretchen. I don't know whether you can answer this now. It's related to a Canon M50. If you got your tech head on now, or do you want to reply to this in another way? Another time?
Maybe I'll have a look. So Gretchen, are you referring to the Canon studio or the Camo studio? Because Canon's got its own Canon utility that you use to connect cameras. Referring to Camo studio here on this as well. So that was my question, and if so, it may be something Eden could answer. But let's find out. If you let us know in the comments,
yeah,
Gretchen, then we'll be able to.
We can do that. Bring you back in, and if Eden's still here, we can ask her if that's something which maybe is related. So yeah.
Oh, Camo! It is Camo Studio. Woohoo! I'm off the hook. All right.
Okay. Eden, are you happy to come in and answer that?
All right. Yeah, I'm still here. I'm still here. All right. So if I'm being perfectly honest, I would need to know if you are using a capture card, Gretchen, and or are you saying that the V10 shows up without using a capture card in Ecamm, or I mean Camo, but not the M50? A little bit of clarity into your full setup and what you're using to go from camera to computer might be helpful. If you're using a capture card, Camo should recognize both of them equally. And so if they aren't, please reach out to support@reincubate.com.
They are the answer to everything that you need, exactly. Yeah. There's always a little bit of latency, so it may well be that she's answering coming through.
Yeah.
But if not, yeah, like I say, if you reach out to support, I'm sure you'll get everything that you need, and a personalised bow and everything as well. How we are? She's just replied, no capture card, USB only.
Okay, if
Mac
it's
Studio.
USB only, yeah, if it's USB only, I don't know that enough about Canon. I'm not that familiar with Canon cameras specifically and how they connect to other softwares, but can you please reach out to us at support@reincubate.com, only because I need more details and because I want to make sure that this gets logged in our system. And if you reach out to us, I'll drop it in the chat, but that way we can make sure it is filed and that it doesn't get lost, because I might personally forget because I have the attention span of a goldfish. But but we would love to get it up and running smoothly for you. So please reach out to us at support@reincubate.com.
Amazing.
Just a
Thank you
quick
so
one,
much. Thanks for
Gretchen.
coming back on. Yeah. And hopefully you get everything supported. So yes.
I just posted a link for Gretchen. I think to use the Canon M50 via USB, you need to also have the Canon EOS utility running on your machine, even for Camo to recognize it. Anything, so it's almost like the driver, the conduit between the camera's USB and the software that you're using. So irrespective of whatever software you want to connect to, Gretchen, if you're using it via USB, I sent you a link there to tell you how to actually use the Canon EOS utility with your M50. I think that might be the problem, but let us know.
There you are. Fantastic.
Yo,
Thank you.
Shouts to Neil, man. I just learned something new. Today.
That's the reason I'm
Might be
here.
complete rubbish, but we'll
He's like a live Bible for tech. That's what I'm learning. Thanks again, Eden. Thanks so much indeed.
Thank you, Eden.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, amazing stuff. So, from one content creator to another one, should we do a creator showcase? Now I can actually say it. This amount of time into the show.
Yeah, if you can say it, we can do it.
Sure, we can do it.
Here we go.
All right, so this week's creator showcase is Dina DeHillig, and Dina is a narrator for corporate technology companies and an accomplished voiceover artist, and she is based in LA, where she records and produces all her own work from her home studio. A longtime user of Ecamm, Dina will be joining us at Creator Camp in just a few weeks, and if you want to know more, you can check out her YouTube channel here, which also has links to her website, and she's got some samples on there of some of the voiceover work that she's done. It's really interesting to listen to. So if you're into that, go and check out Dina.
Fantastic. And I'm looking forward to sort of meeting lots of different people at Creator Camp. I know that about 50% are coming back, 50% are going to be new. So it's going to be really exciting getting to know some new people. And on Creator Camp TV last week, she was talking about the idea of having some sort of virtual theatre thing going on and chatting to people, doing lots of things. So there's a lot of creativity happening already. And so looking forward to that. And we're hopefully, looking forward to meeting people and new guests that want to come on. So Neil, do you want to take us into who our actual next guest is going to be on this show?
Yes, so we met Johnny last year at Creator Camp, and Johnny will be our next guest. I can't remember the date now. It's the 21st of October? 28th of October, yeah, so the end of October. So Johnny will be with us, and Johnny's got a couple of YouTube channels, actually, so I'll be interested to talk to him about his YouTube journey and what he's been up to recently. So, yeah, excited to see Johnny on the show.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. So I think it's time to have a little bit of a quiz. Hopefully you've been paying attention to some of the things that have gone into the chat and some of the people that were there. And if you haven't been involved in the quiz before, all you need to do is to put A, B, C or D from the answer in the chat. And then we'll do that. And really appreciate Eden being here. Thank you so much. Really appreciate everyone supporting her and being part of it as well. So here we go. It's quiz time. Okay, so question number 1. Which country was founded? Or Reincubate founded? Was it A, China? Was it B, the USA? C, the UK? D, Germany? So yes, in the chat, put A, B, C or D. And let's see. Fastest fingers first. First person to get that correct answer will be the winner and get put on Neil's list.
Naughty list. Is Eden allowed to participate in this?
I think it's open to
Eden
everybody.
has, and
Yes.
I like that curveball.
Yeah,
Eden,
exactly.
that's classic. Classic.
That's funny.
So yes, we have.
People are going, if Eden's saying A, then what is the
Yeah,
real answer?
exactly. And so this was Eden's answer, and Gretchen was coming in here with a C.
Straight in.
So I say we think isn't the answer. We think it's C, the UK. So Gretchen, yes, well done to you. Congratulations. And Eden talking about sort of making up her job as she goes on, maybe on the naughty step, and maybe those 3 years are coming to us.
Yeah, may need to rethink some things there, Eden.
Yeah, exactly. So fantastic. And it was something interesting because I sort of knew that they were UK based, but it's only sort of chatting to Eden and finding out more about Camo and everything that I sort of realised sort of what a sort of a big UK feature it was, which is exciting. Okay, question number 2.
So hopefully you've been paying attention. So who is Eden also known as? Is it A, pick a side, B, Pikachulu, C, Peekaboo, or D, pick a song for you? That's so hard to say. Who wrote these quiz questions? All right, me. That's right. So is it A, B, C, or D? I'm not going through them again. So come on,
Whichever
let's see.
they are.
Let's see if you can
Oh,
fastest
come on.
finger first.
Yeah, exactly.
Do it again. Do it again, Neil.
Give us a go.
Stop it.
So
Pick a side, pick a shoe, pick a
Eden
boo,
saying
pick a
that
song
her
for you.
jokes are
Don't
hilarious. I think the two of you together, that might be a fun evening.
Yeah, really.
So if we try and manage to do that. Exactly. So here we
Oh,
are.
dear.
Joke number 3.
Right, has
A.
anyone got any answers here?
A is
A
what
from
Eden thinks.
That's good.
And Gretchen thinks it's
Gretchen.
B.
Ooh, Gretchen. Look
Of
at you.
course. The
Wow.
answer is, if there's no one else coming in, it is B. Congratulations. Well done. Really do.
Well,
it's a-
Gretchen is
it's a
taking it by
no-brainer.
storm. She's
I
she's
know.
bought George's internet. There you go.
Seriously.
Exactly. And finally, question number 3.
Ooh, what do we have? We have, what is the default video resolution of a free Zoom account? Is it A, 720p? Is it B, 360p? C, 1080p? Or D, 480p?
What do we think?
Ooh.
do you
Fastest
think?
finger first. I have to say, I had to double think about this. You're absolutely right. Gretchen is on fire. Yeah, it's because you sort of think it's one, and then you think, oh, actually, is it that one? I've just seen another one now. Maybe it's going to be something else. So, yeah, A, B, C, or D. 720, 360, 1080, or 480. What do we think? Gretchen's come in with B.
And she came in with D. And
Yeah.
she's doing A.
And D.
That's called
And D.
edgy bets.
And A.
Aiden's coming in with
There you
D.
go.
So there we are. So all of the above. So I think we can safely say, I think that one might be wrong. But let's find out. What was the actual answer? It was B, 360. So I think actually you were a
Gretchen
winner
did,
from the
come
first
in
time
first.
play.
Wow.
So I think was
Yeah,
that 3 out of
Gretchen did
3?
come in.
So I think
Three
that.
out of
Yeah,
three.
it is
That's
3
the
out of
first
3.
time we've had a 3 out of 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think
Congratulations.
I think that deserves it deserves one of those. So yes, thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Gretchen,
Well
green
done,
team for the
Gretchen.
win, even when it's not even
Yeah.
we're not even at camp yet. So yeah, well done, thank you for
Shape
that.
of things to come, I think.
Exactly, win. Amazing. So one of our other features, of course, is our merch on the perch. Still brilliant. So this is where we try and share pictures of Ecamm, or indeed pictures from creative amplifiers. This is me at the Champagne Bar at the International St Pancras Station around when Wimbledon was on. So hence the tennis balls in the back, just having a little glass of bubbly, I think we might have been at work, or were we just having a nice time? I can't remember. Either way, it was a very lovely day. So that's us doing our creative amplifiers. And then it was me. I did a little bit of a walk around of the Amesbury in the UK just to get a few pictures before we go over to Massachusetts, wearing my Ecamm Fam hat. And so the idea of this is that if you would like to send in any pictures that you've got with some kind of Ecamm merch, then we can share your channel, we can share the story behind it, anything that you'd like to do. Just another way of us being able to sort of showcase what you're doing as part of the Ecamm Fam, and enjoying that as well. So, Neil, why would you take us into other ways that people can get involved in the show?
All right. So yeah, as Mark said, you can send us your merch photographs, and as he said, it can be anywhere. It doesn't necessarily have to be Ecamm merch. It could be Camo merch. I don't know if Camo or Ecamm do merch, but maybe they do. But yeah, you can send us your photographs, and we will gladly show them on our show. You can also nominate yourself to be a guest on our show. We'd love you to be on our show. That's what it's all about. It's actually showing the Ecamm Fam, tell us about your story, tell us about your show, and we want to know more about you. And for this year, believe it or not, drum roll please, there is only one slot left. The 25th of November is the only open slot we have. Boo!
Sorry, wrong one.
I didn't know that was coming.
Sorry, that was the one I was after originally.
No,
Apologies,
right.
wrong button.
Well, there you go. It's okay.
That's
oh, my heart.
funny.
The Apple Watch is saying, oh, are you having problems? But anyway, so you can get in touch with us. Just completely threw me. You can get in touch with us on the website at creativeamplifiers.live, where you can sign up, and we will send you the right link to make sure you join the show via Zoom. And you can also click on the QR code at the top, just scan it with your phone, and it will take you straight to the booking site. But as I said, to avoid massive disappointment, get in now. 25th of November is the only slot we have left. Otherwise, you're going to have to join us in 2025.
Wow. I can't believe that's... We were just saying before we came on, this time a year ago, the three of us didn't know each other. We were all slightly nervous and apprehensive about going to this new camp thing, not knowing whether it was just a conference, even though we were told it was a camp and we were participating. And then here we are, 2 seasons, however many shows we're on, into the 10s, doing Creator Camp TV, being part of everything for this year. It's been an amazing journey. So first of all, a big thank you to both of you, because it suddenly seems like it's just what we do all the time now. But it's been an amazing journey. Amazing journey. So
It's so much fun.
yeah, it's been amazing. It's been amazing. Thank you all for watching. So what's coming next? Next week we are back here, as well as being on the Ecamm channel with our Ken and Glenn special. So we're going to be talking to the founders of Ecamm, a little bit about their background, a little bit about Ecamm, what's coming up maybe, but also, you know, the essence being about Creator Camp. You know, where did it come from? What were the ideas? How involved are they? How much do they just do what Katie says? All those sorts of things. We just see how those things go in. A little bit of the behind the scenes from the twins, just to sort of get us started for camp and get all that excitement going. And then about literally hours later, Lisa's getting ready to go, and then Neil and I are going to be, as we mentioned, flying out at the weekend, ready for our nice party easing into camp show, and we'll give you all the details about that as soon as they become available. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Neil. Any parting words of wisdom before we say goodbye?
Go make content.
Yeah, go make content. Do what Eden says. Just press
Do what
record
Eden
and
says.
get going. Exactly.
There you are.
Thank you, Eden, again for being on the show.
Yeah. Final words of content. Do what Eden says. Everything will be happy. Thank you so much for
Everything will be
everybody. We'll see you again next week.